Hello and welcome into the KE Report. Shad and Corey here as your host, and today we're getting an update on Scottie Resources. Scottie Resources is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker SCOT and on the OTCQB under the ticker SCTSF. And we are joined today with the CEO of Scottie Resources, Brad Rourke. And Brad, it's great to get you back on the show again. We talked about a month ago when you put out your best drill hole ever on the project, and we've got more exploration news to dig into here today. But of course, we're also going to dig into all the development activities going on behind the scenes with the bulk sample, with the upcoming PEA, with ore sorting. So we got a lot to dive into. But I want to kick it off with the news you put out to the marketplace on the 25th of September. The headline hole from this, and this is coming from the Blueberry Contact Zone, 7.43 grams per ton gold over 18.75 meters, and then 37 grams per ton gold over 2.85 meters. Now, there was a time where putting out a 100 gram meter hole like that, the 7.43 grams per ton gold over almost 19 meters, would have been a showstopper, but it's become business as usual for Scottie. And this is some infill drilling at the Blueberry Contact Zone, but you're continuing to build higher confidence ounces here. So talk to us about where we're at in the drill program, Brad, and what you're taking away from some of these assays as they come back in.
Sure. So we're drilling at this moment and we're racing against weather, right? So we're going to drill until the snow won't let us drill no longer. So I just read my progress report. We're 21,000 meters drilled. We're really pushing to get to that 25,000. We wanted to get to 30,000, but a lot of this drilling's geotechnical as well. So it's a little bit slower and you're using HQ, bigger holes and such. So yeah, drill program's ongoing. We should achieve that 25,000 meter goal. And yeah, we put out those results last week and lots more news. So I think we've put out 10 holes so far, and we probably have drilled, we'll have 110 or maybe even more than that drilled total. So a lot more news to come. But the focus of the drilling this year, just so people are aware, is the main goal is we want to bring the open pit material at the top of Blueberry to an indicated level. And the reason we have to do that is that as we run towards our production and the permitting under the joint amendment program, is that we need to have indicated in order to produce a feasibility. So a big part of this year's goal is to convert that inferred to an indicated level. And then when you see the initial drill holes, we're feeling pretty good about it. Fantastic. I think I've got the first 10 holes. What do I have? 5 holes over 100 gram meters and, one over 200. And then that big one we had. So exciting that to us proves that our model is intact because it's so under drilled. There's a lot more that we can achieve here. And I think that is something that should be evident to the general community out there.
So, Brad, do you have a broad comment on how these holes, since they are infill, as you said, you're trying to improve the category of the resource, how the grade, how the width relate to what you already have in your model in terms of really validating, again, that inferred resource to move it up to indicated?
Sure. So that's a good question. So, when we did our resource, it was a big, remember it was delayed, right? I mean, we wanted to have it out before PDAC and it took us probably another 6, 7 weeks because we did all these trade-off studies. And because we were so under drilled, the influence of these bigger 100 gram meter holes, and, we're over 40 of them, I think, just at Blueberry. We weren't getting the influence. They would go, okay, it's 10-meter influence. And, they're still looking at it like an open pit situation. So what we see with these results, and when we do an updated, we're adding ounces. You lose ounces when you go to indicated and you're doing mine engineering. That's normal for every story. But, I think when we do an updated MRE, you're going to see it's actually better perhaps than what we've seen. That being said, I still have 100 holes I haven't seen. And, Mother Nature always teaches you a lesson or two, but we're feeling very good right now. The widths are really what's important. I mean, there's lots of high grade in the Golden Triangle, but sometimes those widths are quite skinny, so to speak. But if you look at what's extraordinary in my view is just look at the widths. So, I mean, that's just mineable material. And because it's right on surface, it should be very attractive for people just to see the business case. But we don't have to talk about it so much anymore. That PEA is coming out soon, and then we'll be able to actually talk financial numbers. And I think it'll be a very, very interesting business case. It should be very good. We're excited about it.
Well, Brad, I think there'll be a lot of eyeballs on that PEA, but before we start getting into some of the development side of the business, just focused on the exploration for a little bit longer here, even though there's a lot of infill and geotechnical drilling as part of this program, which, by the way, is the biggest program you've ever done, there still is about 20% that's exploration focused. So you still have things like the C and D vein, you still have things like the Wolf target that you discovered last year at Scottie. So maybe just let people know that along with all of the confidence buildings, there's still a little sizzle in the mix here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got to continuing showing that, if we're targeting 2 million ounces, which I'm comfortable saying now, that we got to show, well, where are you going to find those ounces? And so, yeah, we have done a little bit of what I would call exploration. Now, also understand the goal of the open pit is to bring it to indicated, but we just keep those drills turning. So we're actually exploring down under that 300 meters as well for when we're going to incorporate a little bit deeper into our resource, and so to speak. So it is kind of double duty with what we're doing right now, although the focus is that above that 300 meters. But those holes keep going a little bit deeper. So that's kind of exploration in our minds. But the market is what it is. I would love to be doing 10,000 meters of blind targeting, right? We have so many targets and follow up. Like, C and D is not part of our resource. Ozone is very little part of our resource. And, these have really fantastic, we just need more meters into those. So, yeah, I would have loved to have done more exploration, but I mean, we've got a business plan. We're going to stick to it. It's going to make a lot of money. And then the real goal is no dilution, right? And so if I can sell that open pit material, I can go do 100,000 meters of drilling without raising money, right? So that's kind of the business plan that we've laid out for us. I suspect now that, we've gotten a little bit of appreciation in our stock price as of lately for the first time. Next year, for sure, we're already putting together next year's program at the very minimum to be 25,000 meters, what we're doing now. But if the market turns in our favor, I'd love to do 50,000 meters next season. It's just all a matter of the cost of money.
So, Brad, let's step further into that business plan with that whole bulk sample. It's noted in that news release it is progressing on schedule. What does that mean? Give us an update on this bulk sample, please.
Well, I'm actually more excited about the bulk sample than anything. And it's uncharted territories for myself personally. But, we got that permit in July. And we already have 4,000 tons sitting down at the dock, and the ease of how easy it was to do that 10,000 tons. So we had a permit for 10,000 ton bulk sample, but that's 10,000 tons of disturbance. So we've got about 4,000 tons of ore from that. And I think what we'll be able to piece together with that is a proof of concept. Now I haven't sampled it, so we are sampling it right now, but I'm probably 3-4 weeks before I get what is the grade of that 4,000 tons. We were kind of hoping for 10 grams. I'll be hand to heart right now. I'm going, I think it's going to be a little bit more, but we don't have to wave our arms. We're going to have that information in the very, very near future. But what that should do, extrapolate how easy that was to mine, because the rest of the Blueberry open pit's also on surface. And I think it might be a little bit anomalous, be higher grade than the rest of the project. We weren't that prepared for it. So on the Blueberry, same vein, same mineralized system as Blueberry and Scottie, peritite pyrite. But when we did that first blast, we're drilled bend deep, right? But we never drilled it 12 meters or 10 meters away. And so that peritite pyrite package was wider than we ever would have imagined. So it just, for whatever, it got balled out at 3 or 4 meters under the surface. And so therefore we believe we're going to have a much higher grade than we initially thought. But, that proof of concept, financially look at how much this thing may or may not make. I think that'll be the big catalyst. Again, that PEA is going to come out as well. But I mean, it's not even going to include this year's drilling, the PEA, right? So we'll have to be able to articulate, the blue sky on this, but we'll see how much, what that bulk sample's worth. And it's probably worth a lot more than we initially anticipated. But, I think hopefully we can sell that before the end of the year, and that'll be another little bit of a non-dilutive financing into the coffers.
Yeah, Brad, it's going to be nice to see all that you learn from the bulk sample about what is the grade, what is it worth, how does the mineralization hold together. But it's a nice kicker that you also get paid on it in this high metals price environment to bring in some non-dilutive capital. I was very impressed when we sat down at Beaver Creek, Brad, along with Kevin and Sean. And when Kevin and Sean laid out the DSO model, the direct ship ore model, and their experience having worked in large mines before, but the ease of getting this truck down to the port. You're one of the closest mines to a port on the planet. I think the second closest one to a deep water port, but just the cheap cost to put it on a barge and get it over to Asia for processing, and the partnership you now have with Ocean Partners for the offtake. Maybe just speak a little bit about what people can expect on the PEA that's coming and on this bulk sample results from the standpoint of, like you say, this is only on the resource as you knew it prior to all this drilling, but just how you believe the economics will hang together on this from a high level.
Yeah, I mean, we're very excited. We think the ease of this project is what separates us from other great projects out there. I mean, we're right on surface. Open pit mining is the cheapest form of mining. And really, it's just a mine quarry, right? It's not this big, massive open pit. It's really, all the mineralization at Blueberry. So we're just talking about Blueberry right now is 40 meters on either side of this lithological contact. There's a andesite, which hosts most of the deposits in the Golden Triangle, and then where it comes together with this siltstone package. But what we've noticed is, 40 meters away, with the exception to a few veins, the grade peters off. So, but you can just imagine there's this 80 meters swath of land and go down to 120 meters deep only. It's a mine quarry. It's no different than making an aggregate. And so very simple. And, what we see from that PEA is it probably pays for the whole project from here on in, right? As soon as we get to that. And that's unique. It's a different story than other stories out there, so exciting. Again, it's just, we're talking business or economics and rather than just drill holes and how exciting something may or may not be. It's a very easy project, and it might not be the biggest project in the world, but it's going to prove to make an awful lot of money. Yeah, especially with a gold price of $3,900, which I never anticipated at this stage. All our modeling's at $2,000 gold. When that PEA comes out, again, we don't have control of what the gold price will be, but I assume, it's 2,500, 2,600 now. The independent guys will be using. So it'll add a little bit to our project from what we've been articulating.
Oh, absolutely. So our metals prices, man, it's perfect time to be selling gold in this market. But Brad, on this whole bulk sample aspect, can you give us an update on ore sorting too? I believe that you're incorporating ore sorting before transporting this ore. So how is that playing in? How is that progressing?
Well, ore sorting is a big part of our business plan, but it will have no influence on this bulk sample. Now what we've done is we've got a feasibility level ore sorting study going on right now. We did send a full scale package of rocks to South Africa and to Saskatchewan, two different technologies, XRT, XRF. We wanted to implement it from a full scale study on both those. But the actual bulk sample, we just hand sorted. You can really tell the peritite. It's very easy to see with your eyes, right? And it wasn't that we didn't want to implement the ore sorting. It's just, to get the machines up there and how do you do it, right? So we just hand sorted, or truck sorted or whatever with a loader. But so we just didn't incorporate the ore sorting. So let's see where it goes. I mean, ore sorting is going to make things better, but I think we're going to be in pretty good shape just doing it by eyeball this time. And it just, it would have added months if we shipped all, 5,000 tons somewhere, and then you'd want to throw in loose rock but with this one we just see the peritite. That's what's getting crushed right now, and it's being sampled as we speak. I'm probably 3-4 weeks before I get those assays back, but so it will not incorporate ore sorting, but I still think it's going to be great. Yeah. So
yeah, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing how the ore sorting can affect the economics moving forward, because if you could upgrade the ore before you ship it, think of all the less waste and more profitable rock that you'd be shipping. I guess just as we wrap up, Brad, because you're still mid drill program here, well, not mid, you're getting close to the end, but because you still have so many assays still to report, just wrap us up with a big picture thought on the meters that were drilled to come up with the original resource estimate versus the meters you're drilling now and the value that you're adding with the drill bit right now so people have that in context.
Yeah, I think doing this exercise of making everything to indicated, again, we started seeing the first of those results. They've better than we never dreamt of having a 700 gram meter hole. 100 gram meter holes as stated is quite normal and over the years. So we've put out a plan. I think we've managed our plan well. That should be obvious to people if you heard the stories. We've been speaking for years. We did what we said we're going to do. That open pit material is going to be extremely profitable. That's really all I can take away. And I think if you really get in deep into the weeds with those holes going deeper, we'll be able to show you how we can expand the resource as well. I'd love to do a little bit more wildcatting next season. Like I say, we only did 15 or 20% this year. But yeah, I mean, that proof of concept, we're going to sell some more. That's a big step for a junior exploration company. That'll be in this year. But the PEA, all this stuff coming, it'll be able to build a financial model where people are going to perhaps believe what we've been saying, which I suspect they just don't believe or what be it. I mean, I'm not complaining now. We have a market cap of about $120 million. It's probably a little bit better than the 50 million we've been for the last 3 years or so. But I think there's a lot more to do from there. And again, we're going to be basing the value of this company on cash flow, right? Which is, 2028, if we hit that target, ramp up first year, I think we do 80,000 ounces. I think that's a reasonable goal. So that's pretty good for a little company like ours.
Well, it is pretty good, Brad, and we'll definitely keep following along with all these different initiatives, whether it's the exploration and infill drilling, learning what you can about the deposit, showing there's room for expansion. I guess the point I was also making, just to close the loop on that, is that everything you've done up to this point in time was based on 55,000 meters of drilling. You're drilling 25,000 meters if you can get it all in before the snow comes this year. And so that's like almost it's like about half of what you've already drilled so far. You're adding on top of the heap here. That's not going to be factored into the PEA yet. So a lot of growth on tap from the drill bit, but obviously a lot of eyeballs looking out for the bulk sample results, the PEA, some of those ore sorting studies that come back in, and a lot of different value levers to pull with Scottie Resources. For those of you listening in, if you want to follow along with all this news, definitely click on the link below in the show notes. It takes you right over to the Scottie Resources website, straight to their news section where you can sign up for updates that hit your email inbox or just follow along with the news as it hits the wires. Brad, I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime soon, so keep us posted. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the attention. And yeah, lots of news coming. So let's hold on and just keep watching.